You can join us back here. Good morning. My name is Robert Miranda. I am the spokesperson for the Freshwater for Life Action Coalition. Miranda is spelled Miranda. Freshwater for Life Action Coalition, FLAC for short, has been an organization that has been organizing since December 2015 on this matter related to the water. FLAC is a member of a national movement based out of Washington, D.C., and that's the Campaign for Lead-Free Water. Our work is tied in with a number of different organizations around the country, and specifically work that has been organized and done with activists in Flint, in D.C., in Baltimore, in Pittsburgh, all in the middle, lower Southwest, and we have been coordinating a lot of our efforts with a lot of national experts on this issue. For the last 2.5 years, FLAC has been working to address this matter of the lead laterals. Lead laterals being the laterals that connect from the main to the inside of a house that provide fresh water to the homes. We're concerned about this matter, and we raised this concern about this matter because it has been proven by numerous studies, mostly studies that were put together by Dr. Mark Edwards and Dr. Yana Lambrinu and a number of other different experts, that lead laterals leach particulate matter that isn't really necessarily caught or by much of the natural efforts that are in the pipes, nor are they really stopped by the orthophosphate that supposedly lines the pipe. It really, the corrosion control measures of the city to stop particulate matter from getting into our drinking water and our cooking water is not fail-safe. The city cannot guarantee that lead is not getting in our water. That's the bottom line. The city cannot guarantee that. The city cannot guarantee that our water is safe, especially when it flows through lead pipes. And so for the last couple of years, we've been addressing this with the city. We've been pushing the city to remove these pipes by asking the city to come up with a comprehensive strategic plan for removal. We've asked them on a number of occasions to do this. We've actually sent a number of letters to the mayor outlining how this can be done, as well financially how this could be done. We've given the mayor 3 different kind of funding options as to how this can be done. But the mayor has never been responsive, nor has he ever responded to our letters. We then started organizing an action in the community to begin educating the public about what is going on with this issue. The public responded. The city then responded through a effort to establish the Quality Water Task Force. For about 9 to 11 months, we've been meeting at this Water Quality Task Force. Finally, it ended, and we have recommendations of what needs to be done. A lot of those recommendations we felt fell short. The organization FLAC feels that the recommendations that were put out there did not necessarily really get to the heart of what needs to be done, and that is to remove the pipes. We then coordinated our efforts and worked with Hunger Task Force to push a resolution that was authored by Alderman Tony Zielinski. The resolution, the Lead Transparency Resolution, basically called for the city of Milwaukee to do more than just the standard antiquated EPA advised guidances that were out there. Much of the science today is not being updated in the EPA or in the LCR, which is the lead copper rule. Much of what the city of Milwaukee's web pages, in their Milwaukee Health Department pages, much of that information is antiquated and outdated. So the resolution called for a lot of those pieces of information to be changed. What didn't happen is that after the resolution was passed, the Common Council passed it, the mayor signed it, the resolution was not implemented. It was not immediately implemented. We raised concern about that. Alderman Zielinski then called for the Commissioner of Health to appear before the Public Safety and Health Committee to address why that didn't happen. Before the commissioner responded, we received information of disturbing to us in which a former employee gave information to Alderman and the Mayor, Benjamin James, that talked about some concerns he had. These concerns that Benjamin James had are the same concerns we were talking about when we were addressing this matter with the mayor and with the health commissioner and with the commissioner of Department of Public Works and former superintendent of Milwaukee Water Works, Terry Lewis. And the key issue for us was, how can the city of Milwaukee bold-faced look at its citizens and say that the lead poisoning that is occurring in our community is strictly on lead paint when we knew that they were not testing the water in homes where lead blood levels were high and children were being sick because of lead. We knew that because we interviewed families. We talked to mothers. We talked to mothers that had children that had blood levels above what the CDC recommends. And they told us every time that no one from the health department came to test the water. So we filed an open records request and asked the Milwaukee Health Department to provide us with data indicating if their water, if they've been testing the water when they go to the homes that have children with high lead blood levels. And the city stonewalls, they fought us, finally denying us that data. I understand there's certain media around here that have asked for that data also, and they're not getting it as well. Why is the city not releasing the information that basically shows where homes that have high blood lead levels, especially those homes that have lead pipes, why aren't they releasing that information showing that they tested the water? Because they didn't. They didn't. And we feel strongly that the water that is flowing through those lead pipes is what's causing a lot of these children to be sick, and it's what's causing a lot of these families to have high blood lead levels in mothers and dads and uncles and aunts and grandmothers and children and babies. We have a public health crisis in Milwaukee going on. We have a situation where the community is being harmed by a government that doesn't give a damn about it. We have a situation where a mayor who understands this situation, and I ain't gonna sit there and say he doesn't, he clearly knows what's going on with this water, is not taking the aggressive and actions that need to be taken in order to deal with this matter in a way that moves this city to protect the health of our community, to protect the health of families. The removal of Commissioner Bevan Baker is not the end-all be-all. It's not even the peak of the iceberg here. It's not even, we have a massive cover-up in this city regarding the lead in our water, regarding the lead blood levels in our community, and regarding the sickness that it is causing and harming the children of this community. And unless they start releasing that data and releasing that information, I will continue to say that. Because I have suspicions that a government that works to block a resolution that calls for transparency isn't a government working for me. I have suspicions that a mayor who tells us 2 years ago that the water is safe has now basically conceded by telling us we need to get filters, who has known that this situation is a threat and a danger to our health. And I am very concerned that aldermen, yes, our aldermen, have known that this has been going on. And just like Alderman Bob Bauman said back in January of 2016 during Rules Steering Committee, they've known that this has been going on for decades. So if they've known this has been going on for decades, why haven't they been alerting and informing the community of the danger that we face drinking this water, that our children face drinking this water? So FLAC today is calling on the mayor to do several things. First, the resolution that was passed recently by the Common Council and that the mayor signed on December 6th needs to be implemented immediately. We need to have that resolution working now. Second, the mayor needs to issue a water advisory. He needs to issue a water advisory, especially for those homes that have lead laterals. And third, the Common Council is moving on an investigation on this. I'm asking the Common Council to go ahead and bring in an independent body to look into this as well. And I have a great respect for the United States Attorney's Office, and I think they need to look into this matter. Because we have seen a lot of flim-flam and bamboozling going on in this city by this current government on this matter. And until the mayor proves me wrong, I will continue to say this because I know he is not being truthful.
Why you gotta go?
Yes, sir. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and give a couple of speakers. Sam from the NAACP.
1 second. Samuel Alford, Samuel, F as in frog, O-R-D. 1 second. So, the communications chair for the NAACP Milwaukee branch. So first, our request and demand as the NAACP is a comprehensive strategy to remove the hazard associated with this and develop a program and ways to measure this. So we want a comprehensive strategy to deal with lead laterals in the city. A little bit of background and context. So it's 70,000 plus homes in Milwaukee that had lead laterals and essentially people at risk to get lead poisoning. And about a dozen MPS schools that have lead in their pipes. So when you look at this whole situation, you see that essentially we're talking about poison. These kids are getting double poison. They're getting it at home and they're getting it at school. And they're getting it twice. And we said there's been a decade at least or more of people being cognizant and aware of lead in the pipes and children getting poisoned is unacceptable. And that poisoning in itself is a crime. These kids are trapped, triple trapped. They're trapped at home to get lead in the water and they're trapped at school. Yet we make the biggest fuss in the world about behavioral problems, but now we see the root cause. It's scientifically proven that lead causes behavioral problems. It causes headaches, irritability, on top of all the racial segregation, the poverty, and the joblessness, and everything else we deal with in the city. So the stance we take in the NAACP is let's deal with making a strategy to handle and deal with it now open and honestly. Let's look at the whole context. We got homes poisoned and schools poisoned, and not just one child, two, but 8,000 children poisoned is completely unacceptable. We won't accept it. We'll be here every day necessary to change it. And then we look at another thing. There was a quote once said that commitment without currency is counterfeit. Commitment without currency is counterfeit. When we look at our city's budget, we've seen $300 million go to the police. We've seen $60 million go to the trolley. And what do we get for lead in the water? We get a few free filters or somebody telling us to go buy our own filters. We're talking about a public health crisis. This makes Milwaukee look like apartheid Milwaukee because there's honestly no onus and no true interest in the public health for the people. We have to correct this now. It is 2018, and we look like we back in 20. We look like we're in 1950 South Africa. Let's correct this. Let's make this right. This is the NAACP, and we have to change this water situation.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Earl Ingram of the Earl Ingram Jr.
Good morning. This was brought to my attention a little over about a year and a half ago by Robert and FLAC. And I was very careful about giving them the platform via the radio station to make those kinds of statements, because at the time, the city was saying that this was not true, that a lot of this was fabricated. But after what I've just heard and what just took place, yesterday everybody came together and talked about Dr. King's Day. And everybody celebrated and everybody talked about how great it is. But when you look at this, if Dr. King was alive today, he would be marching here on this. Clearly, this is unacceptable. Some things we can fix, other things we can't fix. But the health of our most precious entity, our children, should never be compromised under any circumstances. It doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, whatever. Our children are the most important entity that we have. And what happens downtown or anywhere else does not matter. It should never be more important than the health of our children.
Excellent. Minister William Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, beneficent and merciful, I'm Student Minister William Muhammad. I represent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan here in the city of Milwaukee, and we are members of FLAC. And we thank Robert Miranda for his leadership on this issue. We support every recommendation that Robert outlined. The Bible talks about equity not being there, and justice stands afar off, because truth lies in the street. The Holy Quran says that God hates those who hide the truth while they know. What we're looking at here, let me be clear, our children are being poisoned in this city. The black community in particular, and poor communities, are the most vulnerable. When Robert Miranda first brought this to my attention, and we began to speak on it and advocate on it, the first thing that the mayor did was deny it, said that the water was safe. We continue to advocate. We had town hall meetings. We brought forth indisputable, invincible truth and evidence that forced the mayor to come out to act like he was trying to get ahead of something that he was already trying to deny. So that's the hiding of truth. It is the responsibility of the leadership of the city to act on behalf of the well-being of its citizens. This is a divine violation of law, but it is also an act of public distrust. And so the resignation maybe should start at the top with the mayor. And so what we feel is that there should be a thorough investigation of the health department, a thorough investigation of what we believe is corruption and the hiding of truth and a misplaced priority. And as already has been stated, there's a lot of money being spent in this city on entertainment. A lot of money being spent for the affluent, but the most vulnerable, and really the people of God, are the ones that God values, are being neglected. And we would even go so far and say this neglect is intentional neglect. We have black men from this city feeding the prison system here in Wisconsin, holding up the economies in Wisconsin. Is there a link between that and lead poisoning and their behavior? Is there a link between lead poisoning and the high dropout rate in the high school? And infant mortality? And who is culpable? It starts at the top. So we are with FLAC. We demand that the city council stop dragging their feet, and we demand, and we call for the public, for the community to stand up and demand accountability that these lead laterals, there be a comprehensive plan to remove these lead laterals. And we demand that the community hold our elected officials responsible, and that the political life of our local officials depend almost totally and primarily on how they have handled this lead crisis and how they will handle this lead crisis in the future. And I mean immediate future. Thank you.
No justice, no peace. 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 The mayor has to go. Common Council President has to go. These are criminal activities that are causing harm to our children. There is no more discussion about this. We demand the resignation of Bad News Barrett, the mayor, the Common Council President, and everybody who needs to be held accountable. No more poisoning our children. No more treating us like we don't care. The Black Panthers are putting you on notice. We respect FLAC. We respect everybody, but this has got to end. Mayor, you gotta go. Common Council President, you gotta go. And anybody involved has to go. You have poisoned our children. That time is done. That time is over, and you have been warned. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with the people. Stop hurting our children. Are you kidding me?
That's the kind of outrage that we need from the community.
What's your name?
King Rick, original Black Panthers of Milwaukee. If you don't know, you do now.
Give them your name and your organization.
Jamal Smith, YWCA, Southeast Wisconsin. In the spirit of celebrating an iconic figure yesterday, one of Martin Luther King's greatest quotes was, "Our lives begin to end when we become silent about things that matter." And this is not just a conversation about an outcry of a minor situation. This is an open public crisis that we are facing. This is a crisis. I am the proud parent of a 9-year-old son. And to watch him every day develop, to watch him grow is my greatest joy. And when I look in the eyes of many of the children that are around Milwaukee and they are being exposed to this poison that is existing within our pipes, the only thing that I can see in that is we are looking at genocide in 2018. This is what I see. And for there to be common knowledge of this existing shows me that our lives are not as valued as the lives of others. You hear the urgency. You see the cries. You hear the people raging out, wanting to be heard on this matter. We shouldn't even be having a conversation about something that is a fundamental right. It's not a privilege to drinking water. It's not a privilege to have a healthy outcome. This is not a privilege we're discussing. We are discussing a right. It is a right for every citizen to be exposed to quality water. That is a right. So for us to be debating on who's being chosen to have that right and who is not, there is something fundamentally wrong there. So we stand here. I stand in support of Brother Robert Miranda and FLAC and Mr. William and all of those that are involved in this crisis and in this fight to say that this cannot continue. This cannot continue. We have to stand on what is right, and this is a moral obligation. This has nothing to do with partisanship. This has nothing to do, as it was stated before, with Democrats and Republicans. Morally, this is irreprehensible for people to be exposed to water that is detrimental to them and their children. There's something morally wrong with that. So until we get to a point where we start to realize that this is something that we have to do, we're going to continue standing here. You're not going to be able to get away from us. We're going to stand right here until you come up with a comprehensive plan that is serving the people in this city the way that they should be served.
And we will disrupt Common Council meetings. We will disrupt anything that's politics
Community engagement
until it's done.
YWCA Southeast Wisconsin.
Real talk.
So I have, brother, you want to say anything?
Don't have a lot to say. It's already been said. They want Barrett to go. They want the elected leaders to go. But even if you get somebody else, the same thing is going to persist. So I'm calling upon all of the people of our community. You heard King Rick. You heard the student minister. You've heard a lot of organizations. But until the citizens get together and get outraged as all of us up here, nothing will change. You'll get new leaders who will do the same thing. It's up to the people. Power to the people.
All right, with that, if there's any questions.
Mr. Miranda, I have a question.
Do you trust the mayor to solve this problem?
Not at this time. I was hoping that when he came out with the announcement that he would say something about an advisory for water. He didn't even come out with that. That didn't even dawn on him that we need to do something to protect the citizens of this community. So if you don't even come out from jump saying that, you know what, we have a situation where our administration doesn't know what's going on, so I'm going to issue a water advisory, that tells me that he really don't care about our health. And all he's trying to do right now is CYA. And we're not going to have that.
So reason called for him to resign.
I think he needs to step down and have somebody who really cares about this community step in and clean this mess up.
That's right.
What have you gathered, Robert, that makes you believe that there's actually a cover-up going on here?
The last 2.5 years of the way these people have been fighting us. With science, with facts, we brought national experts to speak on this matter. We've had a lot of information going to specifically the mayor. And letters that we have sent to the mayor, he never responded one time. He never wrote back. There was actually a time we had a press conference in front of his office to give him a letter, and he hasn't even responded to that letter. So if this man doesn't want to take the time to even respond to a letter from this community, asking him to explain what's going on here, asking him to put down in writing, where are we with things here? That only tells me he's just trying to avoid accountability, responsibility, and he doesn't care about what we say or what we want because he has an agenda that is not about this community, but more about making sure that his donors are taken care of.
Mr. Miranda, have you received any word from the city health department if any treatment being offered? And also if you will be pushing, and the group here will be pushing for the Common Council to pass a resolution for all the properties that are being sold in Milwaukee, have a label that they contain lateral connections?
There is another resolution being worked on. We're working on getting that. Again, Alderman Zielinski is working on that resolution. I'll be meeting with him later today. We're going to be talking about that as well, to push another resolution through FLAC, Hunger Task Force, and a number of other groups. And it'll be addressing some of that. But yes, city properties that have lead laterals, those city properties need to be looked at, because how could you sell a home and not tell the new homeowner that you got a poison pipe feeding poison water into your community, into your family's life? There is also a need for the mayor to basically step forward and say, hey, I got to talk to this governor, because Governor Walker's involved here too. And Governor Walker, this message is for you. If you truly care about Wisconsin and you truly care about the people of Milwaukee, you need to step up and start finding some resources to get these pipes out of our community as well. It isn't going to be all on the mayor, it's going to be put on the governor as well.
Would that include statewide too?
That includes statewide. We care about human life. And water is life. And anywhere where lead pipes are feeding water to families, that destroys life. What kind of evil, wicked people sit in office and unable to realize that what is happening underground, this water that's going into these homes through these hazardous, toxic pipes, what evil mind can you just turn away from that and act like nonchalantly, oh, well, we got corrosion control? That the science already has stated that doesn't work all the time. We're playing Russian roulette with the lives of the citizens of Wisconsin. And the governor and the mayor need to be held accountable to that.
Common Council President too.
Hey, Robert,
Yes.
answer those questions that they asked.
Sure.
You asked about cover-up. What makes us think there's a cover-up?
And I want to ask you, you all did a press conference with the mayor last week. He told you about disciplinary action. And when you asked him if the disciplinary action was a dismissal of Bevan Baker, he said no. When you asked him, well, who was the disciplinary action against? He said, well, he's not able to disclose that at this time. So you asking me about a cover-up, that's your indication of cover-up right there. So you need to do your jobs and find out who was disciplined, what disciplinary action has taken place, and for what. And you will find cover-up, you will find corruption. That's your job.
So we will reiterate that we're looking for the administration to implement immediately the resolution that was passed, authored by Tony Zielinski, Alderman Zielinski. Immediately implement that. We're also looking for the mayor to issue a water advisory to the community, especially dealing with those homes with lead laterals. And we are seeking from the new interim Commissioner of Public Health data, information related to the blood lead levels of our children, of our families in those homes with lead laterals. We want to know if those homes were tested. We want to know where the information is. We want to be able to understand if in fact over the years it has been truthful that lead paint was the primary source of lead, or were they just saying that because it was something that somebody just pulled out of their butt?
I want to clarify too, you just reiterated what you're looking for. This gentleman earlier asked about, whether you were looking for the mayor to step down. Is that something you're looking for? FLAC as
the community is looking for the mayor to step down. I support what the community wants.
Immediately, or
or
under what circumstances?
The mayor has to first show that he was not privy to all this information. He's got to prove that. He's got to prove that information was kept from him, which I doubt seriously. And if he knew, when did he know? He's got to go.
And to clarify, you mentioned the U.S. Attorney. You want a federal investigation, like the U.S. Justice Department involved?
I think that federal dollars being involved here, federal monies call for a federal look into this. We've got a situation where over the years, millions of dollars have been given to Milwaukee to deal with this whole lead issue. And I understand that, the primary focus has been lead paint and chips and soil. But, the information isn't that hard to find of how dangerous lead in water is. It's there. We've had an explosion of this matter in Washington, D.C. back in 2003, 2004. There was a HUD report that was issued in 2004 that talked about lead in water here in Milwaukee and the dangers that are associated with it. Dr. Mark Edwards came here in September of 2016 at Marquette University and spoke on the fact that Milwaukee has a history of covering up lead and water issues. Now, there's some patterns here that is causing this community to really start questioning the integrity and the honesty of this administration. He's got to have to convince us that he didn't know none of this. And when I hear an alderman state in a hearing, Rules and Steering Committee meeting, when I hear an alderman say, we've known about this for decades. Really? You've known about this for decades and no one has taken any action? This is serious. And I'm angry because we've got children being poisoned. That's right. I'm angry because that's families that have been harmed by a government that we put our trust in, and the government has let us down. The government has broken that breach. They breached that trust. They have to do something immediately.
You say you talked to a whistleblower, Robert, who was from the city. What
I
did he tell you?
I didn't talk to the whistleblower. I did read what the whistleblower had to say in the Journal Sentinel. However, I do know from emails that the whistleblower sent to the alderman and the response that the Commissioner of Public Health, Bevan Baker, made. I do know from those emails that that whistleblower gave some very disturbing information that is really causing a stir within this administration.
What did you learn from those emails that you didn't know before?
Well, not that I didn't know before, is what I knew. It just confirmed what I already knew. And that is these guys not releasing that data. He was only confirming what I already knew. That's what was disturbing to me. Thank you.